I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host with Harrison Bader like hair.
Yeah, it's a weird ordeal. Katie is just proving to be childish.
Which is why I don't feel I would give $5 million to Jack Campbell.
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports where anyone who makes the playoffs really can be a contender.
I think the Padres definitely do it.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Kyrie Irving does have the track record of not being a great locker room fit, or even good locker room fit.
Bader got some luscious locks. I gotta say it.
This is Zach Bigley, the broadcaster for the Frisco Rough Riders, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin. You guys better subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. We are recording the day after the first round. And, of course, we posted our mock draft yesterday. I did not do so well. I only got 4 points. And the man that close 1 point off from beating me by 4 times my amount, Austin, as he won the mock draft predictions.
Yeah, this was something that I wanted to do. I told you, Kevin, before we started. I don't know if I mentioned this in the video, but I wanted to get to 10. And the way we did scoring, if you guys are not familiar, this is your first time listening in, you get 1 point for the player to the right team and 1 point for the player at the right pick. So, for example, Cam Ward went 1. Everybody knows that. Kevin and I both got that correct. So that's 2 points. If he had went to the Browns at 1, we would have got 1 point. And if he went to the Titans at 2, if somehow that would have also been 1 point, just for a very rough and probably confusing example. But you'll probably understand that as we go through the actual draft, and we'll mention where we got it right. Kevin, this was a very interesting draft. There were some 2 players that really fell. Probably my most incorrect pick by far I've ever gotten. I don't know where you had Will Johnson taken, but I had him pretty high.
Yeah, I had him at 10 to the Bears, and yeah, he fell out. I had Shedeur at 2, and he's not in the first round.
Oh, you had Shedeur at 2?
Yes, remember I had the Saints trading up with the Browns. I had a Browns trade.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And then I think you and I both had Tyler Warren going before Colston Loveland, and that flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a weird draft. I'm very interested to see how everything goes. So, but yeah, let's kind of get into it. Mention Titans draft Cam Ward. You and I've we suspected that would be happening, and we'll just have to see what happens. I don't think this is a huge quarterback class, but we'll have to see how Cam Ward does.
Yeah, I think that they were sold based on the combine and also his attitude. He really wants to go there and fulfill the shoes that have been left there by a lot of questionable quarterbacks ever since Ryan Tannehill has left. Ryan Tannehill was solid, led him to an AFC Championship, was a Pro Bowler, so he was solid, right? And I think if they get a Ryan Tannehill type player, just a fringe Pro Bowler, for the Titans standard, that's a good QB, right? So I don't know how good Cam Ward's going to be. I don't expect a lot this upcoming season. The Titans still have to really create a good roster around him, which they are struggling to do right now, especially on the defensive side. I don't really like parts of their defense, and their wide receiver core is okay. If you trust the Westbrook-Akine, how he's done. They signed Tyler Lockett. It's interesting. Their offense is interesting. Their O-line's not good. They have holes, and that's, I mean, the number 1 pick, you expect that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for a team picking that. And yeah, I don't think Cam Ward lives up to the prestige of the number 1 overall pick and a quarterback that's selected that high, but it can be sort of like Jared Goff, who I think is very good. So we'll have to see what happens. Then, too, you have a trade between the Cleveland Browns, which I had a trade happening, but the Jaguars move up for a steep price to select Travis Hunter, which I found. I hope they do the experiment. That's the thing I want to see with Travis Hunter is.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
You don't trade up for what they traded to not get as the Browns GM said before the draft, the Ohtani of of football. Ohtani plays baseball, so it's not the Ohtani of baseball, but the Ohtani of football. Will he be able to do what we don't know yet? and I think there's going to be a lot of expectation on him his rookie season to kind of see how he will perform. Obviously, the only guy I really remember playing both sides in the same season is Dion, who had almost 500 yards receiving yards, and also obviously was a Pro Bowl level corner. So he's got large shoes to fill and a lot of expectations regarding him, but I don't think this was worth it. I think there's enough capital in the trade that was given up to allow for the Browns to easily make up what was happening there. But if Travis Hunter is a Pro Bowl level player on defense and a wide receiver too, then he's worth it, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. I can see him being like a CB2 and a wide receiver 4, where he is doing both, but it's just not your best on either side. And is that worth it? Now, yes, it saves roster spot, and it definitely is going to be worth it on that sense, but is it worth the number 2 pick and all the draft capital they gave up mainly, right? I don't think so.
And no, I understand it from the Browns because they're just really bad. So I understand getting a lot of picks. And with the Jaguars, to me, it was sort of a risky move, kind of moving up that high, and you paid a steep price, but we'll have to see. I think it can work out for both sides. That would be how I view it. So then
I like the Browns haul, though.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, no, I think they got a lot, and it's good, especially since they only moved down to 5, and they still got Mason Graham, who you and I both agree is fantastic, especially with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, we'll come back to him, but let's go with Abdul Carter really quickly. I thought this was a pretty easy pick. I know you didn't have him here because you had him going at 2, right? No, wait, where do you have Abdul Carter going?
So I had Abdul Carter going to the Patriots. This is where I thought the Giants might not go defensive end and they take Travis Hunter because I had 2 quarterbacks going. You used Shedeur at 2.
Yes.
Yes. So that happened. And I don't hate the pick. Like I said, you can never have too many defensive rushers, especially a guy like Abdul Carter for the Giants.
Yeah, you're completely right. So I love this pick. It's the pick I thought they were going to go with, and they still have to figure out some things on their defense. But I like the process they've done this far. We'll get to their next pick in a bit and how we feel about that, but we'll continue on.
Yeah, and I know you got Abdul Carter right, and you also got Will Campbell right for the Patriots. Correct?
Yes. I think they should have addressed offensive line, protect Drake May. I think Drake May's a stud, and the only way to really prove it is him actually getting protection, right? Him having time in the pocket will show how he can analyze defense. Because if he's getting sacked in 1 second, right, then you really just have one read and you throw the ball, and whatever happens. But in this, you're getting him what I think is the highest floor of any O-lineman in the draft. May not the highest peak or the highest potential, but definitely the highest floor. I can't see him not being a starter level player. And because of that, I think this is a great pick.
Yeah, and he plays left tackle. Very good. And like I said, I would say Josh Simmons is the best, but you do have that injuries. And you're talking about the Patriots. They need someone that can protect. Will Campbell can do that. So, yeah, he was the best. There was a lot of hype around Membu. But yeah, so Will Campbell goes there. It's kind of, you just got to build the trenches. Now we go to Mason Graham. I like this pick in the trade down. You still get a very good player for the Browns.
Yes, now their D-line becomes very, extremely dangerous. You already had Myles Garrett, but you can't really afford to not care about Mason Graham in the middle, right? So it's going to be a very talented D-line, and I'm definitely excited to see how they build around this pick. I know already what their second-round picks were like, and they also went defense with their first pick in the second round. But I do wonder how their offense is going to look, but I don't think they care this year. I think they're going QB next draft, and I think that they told Myles Garrett that plan that he's kind of bought in.
Yeah, and this way you have a really solid defense, and as long as they keep Kevin Stefanski, because I think he's a good coach, then you got a nice roster, and you have another first-round pick where you can draft for that quarterback or draft a wide receiver, but we'll have to see. Now we go to 6, where this is a pick. This is my only other pick that I got right besides the number 1. I'm really happy I got this right because Aston Genty goes to the Raiders, and that kind of fills what we expected from Pete Carroll. He really wants to run the ball, and the Raiders select a high pick on Genty. And I know he's very good, but I'm still not a fan of drafting running backs this high, but it kind of made sense when predicting it.
Yeah. I did not predict Shedeur, or not Shedeur, Ashton Jeanty at 6, but I understand it because he's going to be an extremely talented player. And Pete Carroll, like you said, really into running the ball. So, I mean, that works out well.
Yeah, and then we have the Jets. They just invest in O-line. Membu is a very good offensive lineman. I know he played right tackle, but I think he moves into guard, but it gives him some flexibility and just a really solid presence
Yeah,
for-
and he's also a solid athlete, and he should be able to play into the system. Their offensive line now looks pretty solid going forward, and that's why I had them taking him. He was jumping off draft boards. I thought they went offensive lineman, and they did end up going that way.
Yeah. I had him going earlier in my draft. Then this one surprised me. The Panthers go wide receiver with McMillan, who I think was after. I think it's hard to view Hunter as just a wide receiver, just given what his two-way flexibility. So looking just at wide receiver, because it doesn't feel right to say Hunter, I feel McMillan was the best wide receiver. Because to me, you're taking Hunter because he's a wide receiver and a corner.
Yeah, and what that duality can bring you. I agree, and this is higher than I had it going. I think I had him going at 13. Yes, I had him going at 13. But
I had him at 11.
I wouldn't say this is necessarily a reach. If they really wanted to go wide receiver here, I like the pick. I would have gone tight end because I think that needed a little bit more addressing, but I understand his pick, and I'm not batting an eye.
Yeah, and it helps Bryce Young. I'm not a huge fan of drafting tight ends high, but we can do that for another video, and we'll kind of get to that.
And based on the success of Brock Bowers this past year, I think that it has some precedence. But
it does.
I understand.
It does.
I understand your point.
Because you have Brock Bowers, we'll save this for 10. Then 9, you have Saints going offensive line, Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from Texas.
Yeah, I had them going Jeanty, but Jeanty was not available. So them going online, shoring up that position, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then, I just don't think you can hate on taking an offensive lineman because if that works, then you've built a solid front presence, which is just needed. Now we go to 10. So, sorry.
You go.
So now we go to 10 and just tight end. You mentioned Brock Bowers. He was drafted high. I think of Kyle Pitts, and that just hasn't panned out yet.
But here's the thing. Kyle Pitts, I don't think is a fair example because, again, I'll always bring up his rookie year. His rookie year, he had over 1,000 yards receiving. There's a lot of receivers you draft in the first round that don't even reach 1,000 yards receiving. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's fair. This last year, he had 602 yards, and he's had struggle before, but it's more about the team around him than it is him. I think the tight end is one of the positions he's been asked to block a lot more than he probably would like to. He's not given these many routes. But again, I always look back to his first year where he had over 1,000 yards receiving. To have that as your rookie tight end is remarkable. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler his rookie year, and he should have been. There's not many tight ends that get to 1,000 yards. So I think it worked. I would not have picked it any different. I don't think him going at 4 is the incorrect pick. It's more building around him and the QB around him and the system around him because they were really run heavy there for a couple of years after his rookie year where he was asked to block a ton and didn't even throw the ball that much. So I think we'll have to see going forward in Kyle Pitts' career because it's only been 4 years. But I always look back to that first year as this was right. This was the right pick.
And kind of, we'll have to see. You make a good point. I kind of view just like the longevity because you're thinking about number 4 overall.
Well, he's not injury prone, right?
Well,
he's playing in all the
games.
games.
The productivity as well.
Well, but I don't know if that's on him is my point. I don't think that's his fault.
Yeah. I just think I'm always weary of it, but we'll have to see. And I'm surprised Tyler Warren wasn't the first tight end off the board.
I was as well. But I have a lot of friends that are Michigan fans, and they think that Colson Lovett was the best tight end available. So if they thought that as well, I understand it.
Watch too much of him, but the reason I could see it more for the Loveland is blocking more for the Bears because they want to run more. I don't view Tyler Warren as a blocking tight end. too much, more of just like a receiving threat as a tight end.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Now we have the Mikael Williams. Who did you also have this pick to the Niners at 11?
No, but I had them going Mike Green. I had them going edge. I got the position correct, but I did not get the right player.
Got it. But yeah, they've lost a lot, so it makes sense for them to go Mikael Williams, and we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I like the pick, though. They needed to address it.
Yeah, I had McMillan on the board, and I had them going wide receiver, so it doesn't hurt to have an edge. Now we go to 12 with Tyler Booker. The Cowboys, I think, were in an interesting spot because I heard they wanted McMillan. But Booker is not a bad guard, and some people have called him the best. I am still not really familiar with like grading guards, but I saw him and I was like, okay. But I don't think it hurts to draft offensive line. The only problem I would have is kind of the value of the pick here, because at 12 seems high for a guard.
Yeah, I have some. I mean, we obviously have some friends that are Cowboys fans. They didn't necessarily love the pick. Are you in that sense?
I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. It's just not exciting. And
do you think that it has the upside that you would want to see from a number 12 pick?
That's tough. I would say yes, because if it works out, you're pretty much set at your right guard position, which was left with Zach Martin retiring.
Okay.
So I think if you get 10 years, and there have been points made of Dak's really not mobile, the right tackle spot I think needs work. We'll have to see how Terrence Steele does. But the thing for me is just kind of, I feel you could have traded down and still gotten offensive lineman, but the question goes, what was the compensation looking like, which we'll never know exactly what. So I can understand why the people hate the pick, but it really, you would have been reaching at wide receiver. It would have been a reach no matter what. That's why I would have liked to trade down. But this way, you build your offensive line. You have Tyler Smith. I like Connor Beatty at center. Then you have Tyler Booker at guard. That's a really strong middle. And then you do need to figure out left tackle. Or maybe Guyton gets better, or you move Guyton to right and draft another tackle. We'll have to see. So I don't hate it. They were just in a tough spot because they have so many holes that they haven't fixed through free agency.
Okay.
Now we go to Dolphins, and this is kind of, they lost him, I believe, last season. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? It's the defensive tackle. He's now with the Raiders. It's Watkins. Is it?
No, it's a Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins. Okay. So the Dolphins replace a DT that they lost with Kenneth Grant, who I don't know if I had him going at 12 because I had a trade. And I think this works out for the Dolphins, and they just kind of.
I had him going a little bit later. I had him going at 22.
Okay.
I thought Harmon would be taken before him, but that's not how it turned out.
Yeah. So yeah, I think just building up the trenches. Then the Colts go Tyler Warren, which you had them drafting a tight end.
Yes, I had them going Colston Loveland, but he obviously wasn't available. So, and I also think that Colston Loveland also there, like you said, blocking. I think that the Colts also would have preferred someone that could block a little bit, but Penn State's really close to Indianapolis, so I think it felt a lot of fans were probably happy about that.
Yeah, and it gives them a weapon for their current quarterback, but probably they're going to replace their quarterback, so it gives them a weapon, but we'll have to see. Now we go to the Falcons going linebacker Jalen Walker, but I view him more as an edge. So they're kind of building up that defense as well, which is an older defense because they went and traded for why am I forgetting his name? It's not. Do you know who I'm talking about? The last year traded for that Patriots defensive end or linebacker, the Falcons.
Matthew Judon?
Yeah, Matthew Judon.
Okay.
So I think the Falcons need help defensively. I'm not going to blame anyone for taking a linebacker or just any rushing passer because you can never have too much.
Yeah, I mean the trenches you can never have too much, and that's D-line and O-line.
Yeah. Then speaking of trenches, you have the Cardinals go D-line with Walter
Yes.
Nolan.
You do. I have Walter Nolan going at 26, so some of these guys are kind of flipping around, but this is a good pick. I mean, I think they needed to address it as well.
Next, you have the Bengals going Shamar Stewart, where I had them going off. We talked about the trenches. They really don't have any trenches, so now they're starting to build that up defensively because I had them going guard. I had them getting Booker.
Yeah, you the Bengals getting Booker, right?
Yeah, I had the Bengals getting Booker. So you and I both targeted trenches because I know you went defensive end.
Well, I had them going Shamar Stewart. So this is one of the ones I got right. So I thought that they needed an edge, and they agreed with me, and they also agreed on the players. So I was happy about that.
Yeah. So now we go to Gray Zabel. I'm a little surprised the Seahawks went offensive line. I thought they would go more defense, but
I had them going Booker.
Okay, yeah. I had them going Colston Loveland. I thought they would get an offensive weapon. And I'm very curious about Gray Zabel. I haven't done too much.
I don't know too much.
He's played all 5 positions at North Dakota. But people mostly look at him as a guard. I know he's rumored late, like that day of the draft, of getting drafted by the Cowboys. But we'll have to see. I'm wondering because the Seahawks are always shuffling their line, but we'll have to see what happens. But as long as it's a good pick, they get to help their line for Sam Darnold, and then I would say a future quarterback, because I've used Sam Darnold as a bridge quarterback for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but it's an O-line pick. I can't get mad at an O-line pick.
Now we have Emeka Egbuka going to the Bucks, that's just a stacked wide receiver room.
Godwin will miss some time this upcoming season because he's still coming back from his Achilles tear. But I don't really know how this is going to look because I still really like Jalen McMillan. I like Trey Palmer. I like their top 5 guys. I like Trey Palmer. I like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, and Egbuka. So I don't know what this is going to mean. I also like their running back with
it's Rashad Wright,
Bucky
but it's
Irving.
Also Bucky Irving, yeah. And Bucky Irving.
I was tight on Rashad. And obviously Baker's a good guy, or a good talent, and their O-line is solid, so because you have Tristan Wirfs. So, I mean, their offense looks extremely good. And Cade Otton came onto the scene well last year. It's going to be up to their defense. I had them going Jahad Campbell, but they decided to go on the opposite side. If they really believe Egbuka can be that guy while Godwin's out, then I like the pick.
Yeah, I had them going defense as well. I had them going Shamar Stewart. Now we have we have J.D. Barron going to the Broncos, which is investing on the defensive side of the ball. I know that's pretty a stacked corner room because you have Patrick Surtain. I know there was another corner. Why don't I remember his name for the Broncos? I think he was a rookie last year, right?
You talking about Riley Moss?
Yeah, Riley Moss.
I don't think he was a rookie, but I know Riley Moss was amazing last year.
Yeah, and now you have J.D. Barron, and just kind of we'll have to see what happens, but I'm a little surprised they went defense here for the Broncos.
Yeah, he was in his second year. Riley Moss was in his second year last year.
Okay. Yeah, that's a young corner room, and we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Now we go Steelers go defensive line. This is where I thought a quarterback pick was going to happen because there's also Jackson Dart and Shador were both on the board, and the Steelers select Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon.
Yeah, this was a good pick. I think that this is something they needed to address. I had them going in a different way and going Shador, but if they wanted to go D-line, I thought D-line was something they needed to address, especially with Cam Hayward. This is probably going to be Cam Hayward's last season, I think. Right, this upcoming year.
Yeah,
that's what I'm kind of getting the sense of. So I like them going D-line. Cam Hayward can kind of mold him into the player that he is, and if that happens, then they got a great guy.
Now we go to the Chargers, and this one was a little bit surprising for me. Omarion Hampton to the Chargers. because J.K. Dobbins had a really good season. I know he dealt with some injuries, but I viewed it as I don't see running back as a huge issue for them. I had them going wide receiver with Matthew Golden, who was on the board. I thought they'd be more focused on getting a weapon for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think I had the Chargers going. I had the Chargers going Kenneth Grant, but obviously that's not the way they went. They signed Najee Harris, and so I don't know how much I like this pick because I would not have signed Najee Harris if you're going rookie running back because I think rookie running back has a lot of value, as we saw last year, right? Rookie running backs do well in the majority of cases where they're not injured beforehand. So I don't know how much I love this pick. However, if they really like him, I get it, but I'm a little bit confused is all I'll say.
Yeah, I kind of forgot they got Najee Harris. And to me, you could have gotten another running back in the later round. I understand taking Genty because he is really good and one of the best in a long time. So, a long time is since Bijan or just kind of that hyped up, but he is also really good. But kind of with the other running backs, I think you could have paired well. So it is a little bit surprising. But now let's go to the Packers. I'll let you announce this one.
I don't like this pick. Matthew Golden. I think the Packers have one of the deepest wide receiver corps in the NFL. And look, the Packers got a lot of flack for there being 23 years in between draft picks of a skill position, either running back or wide receiver or tight end in the first round. But we decide to go against that whenever we don't need it, whenever it's not the position of need. I desperately think that we need another outside corner besides Jair Alexander. Eventually, I do think we're going to move off Jair Alexander, sadly, because he's kind of been – he's very good, but the organization and him haven't agreed on everything in the past. I like Keyshawn Nixon as a slot corner, but not an outside guy. I thought we would go Will Johnson. And if you don't like Will Johnson at all, just go Trey Amos. Or go Maxwell Hairston. One of those two. But no, we went with a guy that I don't know if I love Matthew Golden. He didn't have the highest target rate. I have some worries about Matthew Golden, especially because not only because our wide receiver core is so good, but also I don't know how much I love him as a prospect. I thought we should go O-line. If we adjust O-line, I've been fine. Or D-line, or linebacker, or corner. And we did none of those things. So I'm a little bit disappointed, because I don't know how much this pick amplifies our team in the near future.
Yeah, if I can play devil's advocate, I'm not a huge fan of Matthew Golden. I think the problem is there are a lot of good wide receivers on the Packers, but I don't think there's an elite wide receiver. So if they think Matthew Golden could be that top tier wide receiver, then I understand the pick, but I don't feel like he's that. I think he's just going to be a good wide receiver. I don't see him being a top wide receiver. A lot of people talk about his speed, but I'm like, I think he's good, but not amazing.
I'm not sold. So he's going to have a lot to prove to Packers fans because I know a lot of Packers fans were not happy. So his rookie season will be of much interest to a lot of Packers fans.
Now we go to the Vikings. This was funny. It was booed on the NFL draft. Donovan Jackson. This one, I had him going to the Chiefs. He is more of a guard, but he can play a little bit of tackle. I am surprised the Vikings chose him. But he does fit in now because Josh Simmons was, of course, on the board. Josh Connerly, who also got drafted, was on the board. So, yeah. But you can't really hate an O-line pick.
Yeah, you're right. You can't. And I'm definitely not surprised they went O-line. I am surprised by who they took. I had them going Kelvin Banks, but I understand the pick. I know why it was kind of booed, but it was – I don't hate the pick.
Well, yeah, it was just booed because it was the Vikings in Green Bay. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Now, this one, I knew you had this trade happening for this player, but I didn't realize you also got the pick correct. So I'll let you revel in the glory.
Yeah. This was a pick that I whenever I was making my prediction, I'm like, I think the Giants trade back up to get a QB. So the best QB I have available in my prediction was Jackson Dart, who do I don't think needs their pick that much and would need a lot of guys instead of a lot of value in the first round. They want more depth. The Texans, so I had them making that trade. And when lo and behold, it worked out. However, during the moment, I was not happy because I thought that I was going to get it completely wrong because I thought they were going to take Shedeur. I thought they traded up to get Shedeur. And instead what happened was they didn't get Shedeur. They took Jackson Dart. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm happy I got it right. So I think I like this pick just because I got it right.
I think you and I share similar problems with this is if you know, because someone pointed this out and I was like, that's a great point. You're trading to take that pick. It's not like, let's say Cam Ward falls to you at 3 and you're the Giants. Well, we're going to take him because people thought he was going to be gone at 1. But it was just, if this was the plan, why do you sign so many quarterbacks? Like I understand hey, I want him to develop.
I don't think Jackson Dart starts this season. I think Russell Wilson starts this season.
But I think the problem I have with that too, so like that makes sense. But I think you can still do that without signing Jameis Winston.
Sure. But maybe they want to make it to where there's no chance Jackson Dart plays. You get what I'm saying?
Maybe, yeah.
He's just holding a clipboard all season.
Then why do you sign Tommy DeVito?
Well, I think that's just because he's a cult hero. Put on the practice squad just to sell jerseys.
Got it. Okay. Because that's my thing is this is just an even more crowded room of quarterback room.
That's true.
And now, so kind of looking at that, now we have another trade, which for a second, I was like, are they going to take Shedeur with the Falcons trading up? Because it wouldn't be the craziest thing.
No. Joked about that. I joked about it. I had a friend ask, do you think they'd be more mad about that or last year than taking Penix? But I do find that funny. But I thought they were going to take Will Johnson when they traded up.
Okay. And they go edge here, which I'm like, that's not bad. They're loading up. Because I think they did struggle with pass rushing, right, last year?
Yeah, a good bit. It was mainly because of injuries, though, because Judon got hurt for a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that makes sense. It's just like, why trade up? But now we go to the Ravens, who select safety. Malachi.
Yeah, I had them going safety. I chose the wrong safety. That sucks. But I do think that safety was a position of need. I think that Kyle Hamilton is an amazing safety, but their second safety, I think, was a hole on their defense, which didn't have that many holes. So now that they've got that filled, I really like their defense for next season.
Yeah, and then you see the Lions build up their defense as well, selecting Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle. I had them going defensive tackle, but it was Derek Harmon for me. And so, yeah, they're building up the trenches, which is kind of what the Lions view themselves as.
Yeah. I also thought they were going to go Will Johnson. Again, Michigan fans. A friend of mine explained it like this. Aiden Hutchinson is from Michigan, went to Michigan, drafted by the Lions. Will Johnson's from Michigan, went to Michigan. He should be drafted by the Lions, but that's not how it ended up. And I honestly don't like the pick because I think it's a crazy reach. Tyleik Williams, I don't even think is the best D lineman available at this point, even interior D lineman. And I mean, most of the mocks I see are like overall rankings. He's in the 60s, right? In some of them, he's a third round projection, and he's going in the first round. I think you could have waited realistically till your next pick and taken him. So I think it's a little bit of a reach, but it's D line. So if you get it right, obviously, like you said, it can have a lot of upsides. I don't know if he's the best available, and even if he is, the big reason why I'm against it is I think he would have been available at their next pick.
Got it. Yeah, I can understand that. I know some people that were high on Tyleik Williams, but yeah, I'm trying to think.
The one I really look at is CBS Sports. I think CBS had him at 67 in the prospect rankings.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else was available. Because, yeah, TJ Sanders got selected in the second round. And then Alfred Collins also in the second round. But then a surprising pick to me is Washington going Josh Connerly Jr. going off.
I agree. I would have went secondary. I went with it. I had them going with Malachi Starks. So when Nick Emenwari was still available, I thought that's who they were going with. But Kansas O-line, I like Connerly, so I don't think this is a bad pick.
I don't think it's a bad pick. I think he is good. I don't know if he's. This is where I'm like, if you're in the later rounds, you could select Josh Simmons, but if they want someone right now. But then you have secondary, Will Johnson not selected, Maxwell Hairston selected by the Bills, and they do need secondary help.
This is when I realized there was a problem. Like, I realized there was a significant, okay, something may be up. As we're recording, Will Johnson was selected at
yes,
finally, but
yes.
This is when I really thought, okay, something's wrong. Because, I mean, even in the second round, I believe a corner was taken. Oh, no.
Yes, there was someone.
No, it was, there was a safety taken, but not a corner.
Got it. Yeah.
Nick Emenwari was taken. But
yes.
Still, something was wrong. Something is wrong. There was a knee injury that people are concerned about, but I don't hate an O-line pick here if we're talking about the Bill. Or, I mean, I don't hate a Maxwell Hairston pick. But something's wrong with Will Johnson.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens. And this is where I also thought the Commanders may go Luther Burden because he was falling. He didn't get selected till the second round. Now, the Eagles pick was surprising. This is kind of where I was like, okay, is Luther going to get drafted here? Because why are you trading with the Chiefs? Because to me, linebacker is not a huge need for the Chiefs. So maybe they were worried someone else would trade with them, with the Eagles.
I didn't understand the trade either, but they didn't give up that much.
Yeah, no, it was just like they didn't really give up that much, but I was just like, why are you moving?
It was confusing. I think the Chiefs were just like, sure.
We'll take a fifth.
Yeah, sure. But I don't think it's not a bad trade, but it was confusing.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, okay. Because you have a lot of picks, which, I thought, yes, the Falcons traded with the Rams, and they gave up a first-round pick.
Yes, they did.
Falcons did. It was just weird draft trades because I don't feel like the Giants didn't give up a first-round pick to get in front of the Rams with Jackson Dart, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think it was later.
That's true. You got to think like the Eagles technically gave up a first rounder because they gave up their first rounder. So it's they did, but the problem is the Falcons didn't have a first, right?
Yeah.
In that it left. So when they traded, they had to give up a first in the future, which I do think is weird, and I would not have probably done it, but.
Yeah, and I think there was just varying degrees of what a trade was, and this one was just kind of perplexing because, okay, we moved up ahead. They select another linebacker. They love to go SEC defenders. They're really going to build up that defense, which is just kind of scary. And they've done it. I heard about like Nolan Smith. He was drafted in the later round or late of the first round, and then he kind of developed. So they're kind of probably just going to develop Jihad Campbell. Because I
like Jihad Campbell. I had him going at 19, I think.
Yeah, I think you did too. And then this one you have 32, Josh Simmons. He's my favorite. This makes, I think if you're the Chiefs, you're pretty excited.
Yeah. I was talking to a Chiefs fan. He's probably not going to be ready by the start of the season, but he should be ready by week 4, week 5. And even if he's not 100% this year, he'll be 100% the next year. And the Chiefs need O-line. So even if he's back and not 100%, he'll probably still be playing and get back to 100% by the next season. I did have Josh Simmons going at 32, so I did get a point here, but I did not have him going to the Chiefs. I had him going to the Eagles. But, it was a solid draft. A lot of confusing. Mike Green fell out of the first round. I was shocked by that. I think a lot of people were concerned about the Marshall, but he played so well against Ohio State that I didn't think it mattered. I don't know if you've watched his Ohio State tape.
I have not. No, I have not watched his Ohio State tape. I do think there are some personal conduct issues that I think people are worried about.
Okay.
I can check that.
Yeah, and then obviously Shedeur fell out of the first round. He's still not taken as of the time of this recording. And Will Johnson has been taken by the Cardinals.
Luther Burden drafted. Yeah, I really thought with the Seahawks, they might take a quarterback. Might do a video on Shedeur. I don't know. We'll see where he gets picked.
We'll do a rookie QB video.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'm also. This is kind of giving me vibes of kind of Will Levis and Malik Willis, where we had and Kenny Pickett. We had 3 quarterbacks going in the first round.
I didn't really mean to ask this question, but I will anyway. The Titans are about to pick here in 2 picks as we're recording. Do you take Shedeur and just say QB battle? Is it worth it to do that? Because you couldn't. Is a QB battle a good thing? Because they have to compete against each other?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, and yeah, I get what you're saying. And also, there are personal conduct issues, which he's denied, but that to me is playing a part with Mike Green. I would say no, because I feel that's like 2 young QBs.
But I will say RG3 and Kirk Cousins were both drafted by the Commanders, and both turned out to be good players. Both turned out to be pullable players. Yeah. Obviously, RG3 won the job, and I'm not saying that Cam Ward, because he didn't want to pick, wouldn't win the job, but it wouldn't be damning to either of their careers.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. I think people are also worried just kind of about the culture of Shedeur Sanders. And I do think Deion would be talking about his son.
He will be anyway.
Yeah. And just kind of that new style from the Titans. If I'm really on Pittsburgh, I think you make a move because you don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it because has it spoiled the pick yet?
No. They're on the clock though.
Yeah, I know they're on the clock, but usually we can see. But yeah, I think we can just end it here. But yeah, that's the end of our first round. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'll have more draft coverage, of course, coming up. Make sure you hit that button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.